Senator Chuck Grassley says lower federal courts are wielding too much power. That was the subject of a Senate Judiciary Committee hearing today, where Grassley argued universal injunctions are unconstitutional. Maddie Frains joins us in studio to explain what those are and what Grassley is proposing. Good evening, Maddie.
Hey, John, you've probably heard of an injunction. That's when a court orders a party to stop doing a certain action, typically parties involved in a case. Universal or nationwide injunctions can be directed at a government, telling it to stop enforcing a policy or taking action. Critically, these injunctions expand to more than the parties before a judge. Grassley introduced a bill Monday that would limit injunctions to only apply to the parties in court and make temporary restraining orders immediately appealable. That means those seeking broader measures would have to bring a class action lawsuit. But a Quad Cities political scientist says this debate over universal injunctions is nothing new.
We have seen in recent years increasing use of injunctions by the court.
Paul Baumgartner, a political science professor at Augustana College, says federal courts have been bolder in recent decades. There's no definitive count on universal injunctions because there's no strict definition, but the sources we found all show an increase from George W. Bush's administration to Trump's first term. The Congressional Research Service found 17 universal injunctions on Trump's second term so far.
It's one thing for a district court to offer relief to parties before it. It's another thing, however, altogether for a single judge to order the government to act with respect to people who aren't even before the court.
This is kind of in the wheelhouse of interinstitutional conflict these days.
Baumgartner says this debate happens every time the ruling party sees pushback from the judicial branch.
Argue that the courts are engaging in judicial activism and they're exceeding the kind of powers that they ought to have.
Well, it's very political.
Senator Dick Durbin was also at the Wednesday morning hearing. He says the same concerns about universal injunctions came up during the Biden administration, but Durbin says the quantity and content of Trump's executive orders is why there are so many injunctions.
If he's going to do these bold, revolutionary things, he's got to expect some pushback from judges who were put in place to follow the law.
But notice that it's really President Trump's kind of hyperactivity as it relates to executive orders that kind of got this ball rolling.
Durbin says there are improvements that can be made to universal injunctions, but they shouldn't be completely ruled out.
The bottom line is if we're going to change it, we've got to do it prospectively so that it doesn't have any political advantage.
Now, Baumgartner says Grassley's bill would need to garner support from at least a few Democrats to make it out of the Senate. He doesn't think this bill would subvert checks and balances since Congress has a lot of authority over federal courts. Rather, he sees it as Congress exercising one of its checks on the judicial branch. John?
All right, Maddie, thank you.